Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Olisa Ngenge, your ordinary everyday person from Disney World channel. Thank you for stopping by and nice to meet you. Surely everybody by now in South Africa is anxious to know what might be the posture of US government on South Africa given the executive orders against us by US President Donald Trump. According to SABC News, showing Bryce Peace in the US, even the Human Rights Commission in Geneva agrees with South Africa's actions, saying redressing South Africa's racially imbalanced land ownership is vital to addressing the historical injustices of apartheid era and fostering a more equitable future. Now, on the 12th of February 2025, Xoli Mgambi from Newsroom Africa pointed out that Afriforum and Solidarity continue to face backlash over the US President's halting aid to South Africa. And a veteran journalist and author, Max du Preez, has slammed the two organizations for what he calls reversing reconciliation efforts by addressing the country's painful past. He said, and I quote, "I am not a victim. I am privileged, and my people's culture and language are flourishing since 1994. We are all richer. Our radio stations, TV stations, publications, books in Afrikaans are all flourishing, but the same cannot be said about other indigenous cultures. Actually, we have only one indigenous culture in South Africa, and that's Africans. And Africans include Khoisan people. White people are descendants of European settlers who migrated from Europe to colonize South Africa in 1652. But this does not mean that we have not accepted them as part of our nation. Just feel like it's very important to talk about these things so that groups like Afriforum and Solidarity can stop going around spreading lies, to this nation and abroad. And once everybody knows the truth, people will begin to understand, begin to see a need for change and nation building. Now, if you go back to Max du Preez, apparently his problem now is dealing with this illogical thing of people, that is Afriforum and Solidarity, that he didn't vote for, speaking on his behalf. That's what he says. Please, good people, kindly, can we have a look at this clip and hear what the gentleman says himself?
You're watching News at Prime. Let's get into this conversation now. Afriforum and Solidarity continue to face backlash over their role in the United States President Donald Trump's executive order halting aid to South Africa. A veteran journalist and author Max du Preez slamming the two organizations for what he calls reversing reconciliation efforts by addressing the country's painful past. Max du Preez is my guest next. Good evening to you, Mr. du Preez, and thank you very much for your time. I want to start off with some of what I mentioned in that introduction, and that is that you say in your opinion piece that this moment feels as though decades of reconciliation efforts have become undone overnight. Explain that to us a little bit.
Yeah. Let me just tell viewers that I'm sitting here filling in my forms to apply for refugee status. I insist on living in a trailer park in Colorado.
Yeah.
And I insist that the government should give me a Toyota Fortuner. That's how absurd this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think absurdity is the word to use. I am a white person. I self-identify as an Afrikaner. And I am not a victim. I am privileged. My people's culture and language have flourished since 1994. We're all wealthier. Radio stations, TV stations, publications, books in Afrikaans, flourishing. And the same cannot be said about other indigenous languages. So I'm dealing with this absurd thing of people who I didn't vote for, who speak on my behalf.
Yeah.
And to me, there is a very fundamental principle of democracy and freedom. And it goes like this, and you've heard it all over the world. Nothing about me without me.
Yeah.
I did not give Flip Bass and Kali Kriel a mandate to speak on my behalf to Donald Trump or Donald Duck or Father Christmas or anybody. And I think that's a feeling that's becoming to grow in South Africa. There's this private company, self-appointed, a very wealthy company, and they do fantastic things. They build technicons and universities and stuff. But I did not sanction them to go to a foreign country and ask for sanctions on my country. I am not a victim. I don't want to be a refugee. I am an African and a South African, and I am grateful for my privilege, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. You've taken the time, Max, to look back at the political backgrounds of some of the individuals you mentioned, Flip Bass, Kali Kriel, and Dirk Herman. Why was that important?
Because they all come from an extreme right-wing background. They all come from the HNP and Conservative Party background. And there's been this silent coup in Afrikanerdom, where in the 80s and early 90s.
And before we can proceed any further, share, comment down below, and please subscribe to the channel, because that's what will make our channel grow. And now let's proceed. And the reason for this topic is to show that there are white people out there, Afrikaners in particular, our past, and are interested in healing the divisions of the past and nation building. That is to stop being separated by race, language, income, geography, etc. And if you are a South African, surely you know what I'm talking about. At the same time, we have people like Afriforum and Solidarity, white minority, who seek to protect white privilege, where after 30 years of democracy, 7% of white population still owns 78% of farmland, while 80% of real indigenous black people own only 4%. I was watching Kali Kriel, Afriforum CEO, at pains explaining why they refuse the refugee status in the US, saying, and I quote, "We see our future in Africa." That is, they no longer mind now our persecution and confiscating of their land anymore. Interestingly, he went on their media briefing to tell us how they got their land in the first place. He says, and I quote, "We became a people here on the southern tip of Africa. We did not develop elsewhere. We are not Europeans." Yet his deputy calls themselves Westerners. I don't know what is the difference between Europeans and Westerners. I think that's a contradiction or confusion. He continues to say, "You had Europeans, Germans, Dutch coming to the southern tip of Africa as Europeans, and alive as Europeans. But we became a people here. We are indigenous to this country, and we are going nowhere. Unfortunately, nobody has ever chased them away, like Africans in the West who are being told every day to go back to Africa. We are not doing that to them, but they are doing that to themselves by taking our domestic issues abroad, actually back to Europe. Back to Europe, while they are saying they are not Europeans. Very much interesting. And the only thing that I like about Kali Krill's history lesson is that he doesn't show us a piece of land, a farm, a town, not even Orania, a province, to say this land or this piece of land was brought here by our ancestors from Europe. He doesn't say that. No. They reject the refugee status in the US because he says they cannot afford to lose their first-class citizenship status, something that we lost when their ancestors arrived in South Africa in 1652. And there is a quote here by John F. Kennedy in one of his speeches at the university in June 1963, talking about a potential peace with Russia. He talked about the absolute need to get into the shoes of the other side, not because you are surrendering, but you have to see things from their own perspective in order to understand where they are coming from. And good people, that's how we come to the end of today's episode. Please like, share, click the notification bell, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. And see you on the next one. Cheers.